All right, so you're warmly welcome to another session of the Voice of Reformation, and this is brought to you by the New African Concept, a movement giving wholly or dedicated wholly to championing the cause of holistic national transformation. We believe that Ghana is going to make it regardless of the situational circumstances. We believe that Africa is also going to make it, and it all begins with you and I. The question that we should always be asking is not necessarily what can they or what can the leaders do, as much as what can I as a person do, what can be my contribution to this whole complicated maze of national transformation. We have been talking over a period now on the school of values, where we've tried to establish over and over again that nations are successful not necessarily because of their geographical locations, or they are successful not because of anything, but rather because of the quality of their value systems. And that's why we are very passionate on these values, and I believe that we've been learning a lot on it. Today we want to consider yet another value, very, very important and very, very necessary if we want to advance our country forward. That is the value of foresight and research. Foresight and research. I don't think that such a value needs even much explanation. The name spells for itself: foresight and research. The question we will ask ourselves is that, don't we have this value already prevailing in Africa and in Ghana? Well, to start with foresight. Foresight is basically to an idea or a value of projecting, knowing that this is where we can be in 10 years time, 20 years time, 50 years time, and doing something about it now. And that is the spirit or the heart of planning. That is bringing tomorrow onto the tables of today and trying to do something about it. When you look at our incidences of flooding, when you look at our incidences of certain roads, when you look at our incidences of our educational system, you don't need rocket science to tell you that we lack foresight in Ghana, and we lack foresight by extension in Africa. When we are doing something, we don't ask deeper questions, that what we are doing, can it stand the test of time in 5 years time, in 20 years time, in 30 years time. Several researchers have presented the state of Africa to be sitting on a ticking time bomb. And I think that several people have also reiterated it in various ways. And unfortunately, we seem not to be moved by it, which is very serious, because for instance, it has been projected by this economic outlook that by 2050, by the year 2050, 80% of the world's poorest people are going to be in Africa. And out of that 80%, 40% are going to be in Nigeria and Congo alone. These are staggering, they are very staggering stats that we must not slip over. Africa is sitting on a ticking time bomb. And because one other reason is Africa is also a young continent, where we have, out of about 1.4 billion people, almost about 60 to 70% of a population being the youth. And when you come to Ghana, it is also being projected that we'll be hitting almost the 40, or the 30 million mark within the shortest possible time. And the question we are asking is that, looking at these things, what is the preparation of the government? What is the preparation as a nation for these things? We have urbanization. Urbanization will be cutting. The projection says that there's going to be almost about 70 or 60% of the population of Ghana in the urban centers. It means that there's going to be a crash on the meager resources at the urban centers. The question is, what are we doing as a country for it? So to cut a long story short, these things establishes that we lack foresight. When we are building roads, it remains just that 2-lane road, whilst people are projecting that, well, in 5 years time our population will increase, so let us build 4 lanes or 6 lanes. We lack foresight. What about research? It is also the same. That is not to say that we do not conduct any research. That would be so an extreme conclusion to draw, because at least even in Ghana here we have several universities, KNUST, Legon, UCC, UDS, UHAS, several, together with other private universities conducting. We have Nogochi and all. So we must appreciate that some level of research is going on, but rather the problem is that it is not enough. It is not enough, because statistics shows that the whole of Africa contributes less than 1% to global research. And that is staggering. Less than 1% to global research. Not Ghana, I'm talking of 54 countries in Africa with all our top universities. We contribute less than 1% to global research. So it tells you that it is mightily scanty to be able to achieve anything significant. Another challenge with the kind of research we do here is that it is just having the focus of acquisition of certificates to go and then look for a job, or perhaps to go into academia. That is, you are doing maybe a PhD, or maybe to seek for promotion in maybe your working field as a corporate person. Research is not transitional or translational. When you go to the Western world, it is transitional. We all have heard of Abraham Maslow's the triangle that he gave, where he's talking of the basic needs climbing up to the apex, that is self-actualization. It took him 25 years to come up with that. And that is what they do. So 25 years as a professor, you'll be working with a number of PhD students. One student to do it to this point, another one will continue, so that by a period of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, something significant can come out of it. But here, you come, you do something, you get your certificate, you go. Somebody else comes, he does something, he gets certificates and goes. It is not transitional and is not translational. Again, another challenge with our research is that it does not really answer the questions of the society. When you look at the thesis or the topics that sometimes passes as a dissertation, you may think that we are living in the Western world. Some of the topics are practically irrelevant to the business world, to the market world, to even Ghana as a whole. So, at the end of the day, we don't have translational and transitional research, and then we don't have that which is solving the problems of the society. The burden then is that, as a result, is that at the national scale, most of our decisions are just erratic, they are emotionally driven, and they are politically driven. And that is very, very sad. That most of our decisions, they are not backed by data. So a political party wins power today and decides that what he feels will make him win the next set of elections. By the next set of elections, it is going to be this policy. It is not backed by research. It is not backed by data. And then they start it, and then it becomes something else. So we've seen several projects. We have seen several policies that have been engaged since time immemorial in Ghana. It starts, we all jump over it, and then it declines, because in the first place, the decision was not based on data. It was not data driven. It was either politically driven or it was emotionally driven. What are we driving at? What we are driving at is that the value of foresight and research is mightily scanty and missing in Ghana and by extension Africa. If we want to advance as a people, then this is the time for us to embrace and imbibe, cut this thing very deep into ourselves. In whatever we are doing, we must project. We must ask the questions that what is going to happen to the country in 50 years' time, and what can we do now to make sure that that time will be a better time for us. And then the tone of research. When the average white man says that he's not having money, what it means is that he's not having money for research. But when the black man says he has no money, it means that he has no money for food. We are so driven by survival mentality. But it is necessary that we commit ourselves to the demands of research. Therefore, this is the charge. At the personal level, when making a decision, you see, life is based on choices and decisions, which are very important. And the decision you make at every point in time is based on the data or the bank of information available to you. If you don't want to make unnecessary mistakes and errors in life, then if you want to take very key decisions that borders on purpose, borders on career, borders on marriage, borders on financial goals and all, make sure that you pull enough data. That is the research mentality we are talking about. At the personal level, at the corporate levels, it is also not different. It must be the same. We must have foresight. We must project deep and do something about it, as well as also, having our decisions backed by data and enough research. So is it that at the national level, we must commit. When we take our national budget, the question is how much has been allocated to research? Because where your heart is, or where your treasure is, that's where your heart will also be. And that is what you spend on or commit much. When you take our annual, budget, national budget, only God knows how much is committed to research. We are not even, because it is not a value, we would rather be willing to waste it on frivolous activities and engagements. So at the national scale, the charge is that we must commit ourselves to the tone of research. We have several, opportunities to be able to do that. If we inculcate the spirit or the value of foresight and research at the personal level, the institutional level, the corporate level, and at the national level, then obviously Ghana is going to be a better place to live. This has been the Voice of Reformation, and particularly on this segment is the School of Values. We believe that you've been blessed with this. We are very much available for any help with regards to any of the values on how to practicalize it and inculcate it, into yourself. Share, in this commission by sharing, by leaving a comment, and then get others on board to also join in the conversation. Our goal is to chart a new paradigm in this discourse of national transformation. We as a people at the New African Concept do believe very strongly in the transformation of Ghana, and personally I'm very passionate and then very humbled by what I see in my mind's eye, that Ghana is going to make it, and so must you. See you.